Welcome back, everybody, to our channel, A Case for Health. So we today want to pose some questions around journalism and just that narrative that we tend to see in the world these days. So let's just dig in. We want to pose questions and hopefully inspire you to ask some of the same questions, and let's figure it out together. So Doug, take it away. Let's get into this fun topic.
Totally. So in our last episode, we were talking about journalism. We were talking about what's being placed in front of people right now. So every night, the nightly news across America is essentially, from what I see, an infomercial based on a certain subject. We know what that subject is. I'm not going to say it here because we want to keep our channel around. But that subject is also leading people to line up for a certain deliverable, which we know what that is. When we were talking before about, honest journalism presenting both sides of the case. So we know the side of the journalism that's presenting a case today because we're seeing it on the nightly news every night. But when I watch that, the questions that come to me in reading articles elsewhere is there's what's called informed consent, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, in informed consent, why are people lining up to receive something that they have no idea what the ingredients deck is that they're putting into their body? When somebody goes to a natural health product and they get all freaked out about taking a natural health product or taking any form of supplementation or any food, the manufacturer of those products is obligated to put supplement facts, right? This is what you're getting. This is what you're putting into your body. You get to make that decision of what you're putting in your body. If you're eating food, you've got supplement facts and you've got a nutritional ingredients deck that goes on your food. So why do we put so much onus on our supplements and our foods of what we're putting in our body, but we're blindly lining up to put something into our body that we have no idea what it is? I'm not pro, I'm not con for it, but why aren't we asking those questions before we have something put into our bodies if we're so concerned about supplements and foods and other medications? Why are we blindly just allowing that to happen to our bodies when it's not truly informed consent because we don't know what's happening? So that's a question. Question number 2, is anybody taking a minute to phone their life insurance company to find out if that person would be covered in the effect that something negative happened? I'm not saying that something negative is going to happen or not to somebody, but I'm saying is, have people taken that step? Articles that I've read over the last week say that life insurance companies will not cover people if they have an issue. I'm not stating that as gospel. I'm just saying that's information that's out there. So before you go line up to receive what's being promoted to us right now, have you taken that consideration to say, question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that go through my mind before I even start to think about, am I going to be a part of that lineup?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Really important points.
And
Right?
nobody's asking that question.
Right.
Especially that second one.
There's a company that has J&J in their name who's never made one of these products that people are lining up for in the history of their company. Now all of a sudden in a few months they can develop this, come to the table as a player after they've already just settled a lawsuit for a huge amount of money for talcum powder that they hid for years, and we're going to blindly trust that this company is going to supply us with something that we want to line up for that's going to be good for us, back to not telling us what's in it. Honest journalism would tell us both sides of the story, right? Yes, there's this product here that you can line up for. All we hear about every day is the data saying that we should run and line up and have it so that life can quote unquote return to normal. But the honest journalism and the narrative that's being told to us isn't giving us these questions that maybe we should take into consideration before we blindly follow what these journalists are being paid to tell us. You know, and I'm not poo-pooing on the subject. I'm not poo-pooing on people lining up for this. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be smart to ask these questions?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I have family members that they're on the fence and they
Same
don't know
here.
what questions to ask. Right?
Family members that are on the fence, family members that are taking it. You know, there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of misinformation out there. I'm not trying to promote misinformation. I'm not trying to promote positive or negative information here. In our role, you and I, is the case for health. It's asking the tough questions. So I'm in no position, I'm not a medical expert, I'm not in a position to say yay or nay to anything. I'm just asking the questions here that maybe people haven't thought to ask, right? When we line up for that and it's put into our body, it's a one-shot deal, right? Like, it doesn't come out. So if you're going to make that choice to do it, it's your body. But if you take a natural supplement, for instance, it's passed through the body within 8 to 24 hours, right? There isn't a staying effect here. There isn't a staying effect for food, let's say. Yes, we do know that certain foods have certain chemicals, and you and I don't agree with that in many cases, but in most cases, those foods are expelled by the body. When you line up for what people are lining up for right now, that's in you for good. You've made a lifelong choice, right? You know, it's not like getting a tattoo that you could have it laser removed at some point in the future if you decide you don't like it. You know, this is a forever decision. So before somebody makes a forever decision, I think it's important to ask the tough questions, right?
Oh yeah. Because you
You
can't.
know, another tough question is, where's the data on the testing, right? Another tough question is if this is a version of a cold or a flu, right? Why haven't they been able to eradicate the cold and flu or create a product that people line up for with more than 40 or 50% as they tote? So now all of a sudden they can create a new product that people line up for, that they're posting 95% success with in a matter of months. It leads me to question. And you can understand what drives the narrative of the conspiracy theorists, let's say, trying to come to their own conclusions when the information isn't being forthright put out to people. So they're going to come to their own conclusions. They're going to present information in their mindset and their research based on the questions that we're asking right here.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Those are good questions. Are there more? Are there more?
I can rattle off questions all day long. But it concerns me.
Yeah.
Right? It concerns me that we're only being placed with one side of the narrative, where these questions are really important for people to ask.
Yeah.
Right? Where is the data that backs up the story that we're being told? We're being told this whole story based on numbers. So what we're being told here, and I'm not passing conspiracy theory, I'm passing what the news media is telling us. So the news media is telling us that we need to line up for this in order to return to a normal society. It's also telling us that we still need to, quote unquote, in many places, still wear a face covering. We can't as somebody that hasn't joined the lineup versus somebody that has. Well, if somebody's gone into the lineup and received it, if this does what it says it's going to do, they shouldn't be worried about somebody that doesn't have it, because they're supposedly, quote unquote, not going to get it. So why are we still being told that we have to live this life after you get it than somebody that does get it? So there's all of these questions that just don't make sense. And I'm not trying to throw any company, I'm not trying to throw any narrative under the bus. I'm just trying to understand where these questions are not being answered. And these, these are important. These are important for my family. These are important for your family to understand.
And the
Right?
data is overwhelming. There's all these conflicting things, all this information that people don't fully understand. And so, like, for myself, when I get confused and overwhelmed, I just kind of shut down and give up, right? Like,
Totally.
I kind of just, okay, whatever everyone else is doing, like, I'm just gonna do it. Like, when I get to that point, if I don't have that right intrinsic motivation behind me, right? And so, I'm thinking of other moms that I have had discussions with, or family members, right? Like, I love this. I wrote these questions down. I'm like, all right, so the things you want to know about is the informed consent. Okay, what's inside these things? And understanding that one of the, like, I've heard some interesting ingredients that might be involved. And
Totally. But we can't prove that because nobody's being forthright in providing an ingredients deck. It's just like, if you're in the lineup to receive that, right? And it's your own personal choice to do so. I'm not trying to sway people from one side of the argument to the other. I'm just trying to ask the questions that people should be asking.
Yeah.
So when you line up to receive that, if you choose to do so, is anybody thinking to ask the doctor to go through the printed material that's inside the box with them before they have that put into their body? Is anybody looking to look at the list of side effects that are printed in that card, or any of the terms, conditions, understanding protocols? Or are people just blindly sitting in a chair, receiving it, and going home? Because informed consent, right? And there's a difference between consent, because consent is walking through the lineup, sitting down, receiving that, and leaving. You've consented. You've sat there and you haven't put up a fight. Nobody's pinned you down to get it. But informed consent is a completely different subject matter, because you would be asking, what is this? What's in it? What are the side effects? Show me the card. If I'm suffering from any autoimmune conditions, if I'm suffering from any, possible health ailments right now, should I be taking this? Am I am I in the proper health to be taking this today? Right? And unless somebody's asking those tough questions, then it's not informed consent. It's just consent.
Mm-hmm. And is that something that they have? Like, I'm curious, like, if someone did request that, do they have that as a deliverable for people that do choose to walk that
I
path?
don't believe that the ingredients are listed, and I haven't seen one, so I don't want to speak intelligently or unintelligently that I know something that I don't.
Yeah.
But in order to, they all have the paperwork in there that lists the side effects and the terms and conditions around that. Nobody just asks for it. It just goes in the garbage, and people don't think to ask for it. So this is what people aren't being told. So what I'm trying to do is just ask people the questions that maybe they should ask of themselves. And if they are going to go into that lineup, before they make a decision that's a lifelong choice for them, just ask a few tough questions. And if you find at the end of asking and answering those questions for your own peace of mind that you now feel that you've had informed consent, I just want people to think about the difference between just consent and informed consent, and what they're actually lifelong looking at making a decision for their body with.
Yeah. That's really important, because if I understand correctly, again, don't quote me on this, but I've heard it said that you're signing kind of away a liability, like you're, what is it? There's like a liability piece where like you kind
So yeah,
of releasing that where they're not held liable if there are any side effects. Is that right?
well, so this product that people are lining up for right now, right, is still in an emergency um, placement, let's say. So there's a specific classification for this that can be brought to market under an emergency classification. So this is just something I learned this past week, is in the paperwork or brochure that comes, within that product will be a list of side effects. If somebody has an adverse reaction to that and it's a listed side effect, then technically under informed consent, they knew what they were getting, they were signing up for. If the manufacturer of that product hasn't listed a side effect and somebody gets damaged by that, then that person may actually have a case against it because it wasn't highlighted to them. It's like a breakage in the system that people don't know about. Because if somebody, and the information that I've read and what I've learned is, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of recourse that people can have against these manufacturers, because the manufacturers, through the paperwork, have basically created a place for themselves to not be liable, because it, let's just say that on that paperwork, blindness, and I'm not saying blindness, I'm just picking on something here that came to the top of my mind. If blindness was a side effect to that and it's on the paperwork, and somebody lines up and receives that into their body and goes blind, well, the manufacturers actually covered himself, because it was like, hey, this may cause blindness, we stuck it in you, you're okay. So informed consent would be people looking at that and saying, here's the list of possible problems that can happen if you have this enter your body. Do you still want to go through with this? And that's information that isn't being put in front of people. So if we were to take it back to what started this conversation on honest journalism would tell us, look at both sides of the fence here before you make a lifelong decision for yourself.
And see, yeah, like just being aware of those things and how it's shifting, because what was published a month ago can change the month after. And I think so I'm not super savvy on all the details, but I think there may have been a recommendation that people that have allergies or certain allergies, it's not recommended, or as like they might be more prone to side effects. Is that something that's a valid thing, or it's just a random?
I can't speak to that with any form of, like, I want to make sure that whatever I do say, I can back up the best that I can.
Yeah.
So without knowing, and I guess, so if we just took what you're saying there and rephrased that back to a question,
Okay.
We can't know the answer to that. And actually, nobody could put an answer to that when nobody knows what's in it or is coming forth what's in it. Because if we have an allergic reaction to something within our bodies are reacting to something that's been put into it, right? Yeah. So A, not knowing the ingredients, and then B, not knowing what's triggering that allergic reaction in your body, it's kind of a crapshoot.
So that's a good question, is what is something that I know is going on within my body that I need to get a deeper understanding of how my unique, system here might respond differently than the average person. So allergies is one scenario where that person's body tends to respond differently to certain things for some whatever reason, right? So if it responds differently to a nut or honey or whatever it is, it has the potential to respond differently than what the majority is responding to with this other item. And that leads me to another question that I've been encouraging people to pay attention to with this situation is if you have an MTHFR gene mutation. And so that's something I learned on my husband's journey, where we did testing and we found that he had 3 out of 4 mutations. Now, what does that mean? That means that this certain mutation compromises the body's ability to detoxify. And so you can give one person with these mutations and another person who doesn't have these mutations, and they're going to process something through their body completely differently, where one person may hold on to stuff or may have a buildup of stuff where the other person is free and clear. And so what I learned on that journey of researching these gene mutations was that they are more prevalent than I thought. Like when I was reading, there was a significant percent of the population has at least one of these 4 mutations. And so with that, like, that's another like question, like, well, if my body has an issue processing folic acid, right, which is in a lot of foods, will it have an issue processing whatever is in this thing where we need the ingredients list? So
Well, health isn't a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Right? So you go to your naturopathic doctor and you see hundreds of different health supplements behind his desk, right? And the naturopathic doctor is going to, mostly be focusing on natural botanicals, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing. You go to the conventional doctor, which refers you to the pharmacy. You go into the pharmacy and you literally see thousands upon thousands of, prescription medications behind the pharmacist counter. How does one product that everybody's lining up for be a one size fits all? Mm-hmm. Another question, right? Because if I go to the naturopathic doctor or the medical doctor and they do an exam on me, both of those medical professionals are going to give me a certain protocol on what they believe my body needs, right? You go and have the exact same tests, you're going to have a different protocol for you based on, where your blood work comes in, based on what they believe is best for you. Mm-hmm. So now everybody's lining up with different body types, different lifestyles, different diets, we all live differently, but now we have a one size fits all, quote unquote, treatment to that. Mm-hmm. That's just another question. Yeah. Not making a statement that it's right or wrong. It's just, I question it.
Yeah.
Right?
Until you have all those answers, right? You can't really make
you can't make an informed consent decision. Yeah. You can make a consenting decision, which means I'm going to stand in line and take it, but you can't make an informed consent. And, according to the Nuremberg Code, people have to have the option to informed consent before they put something in their body.
Nuremberg Code?
Yeah, it was created after World War II.
Oh, okay. Learn something new every day. All right.
So back in World War II, when the opposing force was creating scientific experiments on people, the Nuremberg Code was created, and that was basically to extinguish the ability for companies to use humans as test subjects. And that's where informed consent came from.
That's crazy.
That's a whole other discussion one day.
The Nuremberg Code episode coming next.
Yeah. So those are just, I just think these are relevant questions that everybody should be asking before they line up. And if somebody chooses to, hey, it's their free will to do so. And I don't ever want to come across as judging or anything on somebody making their own decisions with their own body. But I want to make sure that people just take that extra minute to think about, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Am I doing it for peer pressure? Am I doing it because the news media tells me to do it? Am I doing it because I think I'm going to live a better life? Am I doing it because I think things are going to get back to normal? Like, what's driving the decision to stand in that lineup for that?
So good. So to recap, someone is ready to start diving into making a decision. They're going to get the information on what's actually in it. But that doesn't exist. Does it? We don't know.
No, nobody has been able to produce that information. So that's a question mark right now.
Okay, question mark.
I don't know where or if or how or who has the answer to that. And so that's out the window for the time being.
Okay, for the time being, we'll save that item for last. But while you're waiting for that item to be revealed, which, why is it not there yet?
Right.
Have a chat with your life insurance company. That's going to be a fun thing, and see if any reactions are covered, so that you don't have any expenses, because you will not, whatever company that's issuing this thing is not liable, so they will not reimburse you from that end. So you want to see if your life insurance, just to cover your costs, because there are some people that may.
And if somebody's watching this video and you take the time to phone your life insurance company and get that answer, please post in the comments below. Right? Like, we're the case for health here is us working together, but working with the people that are watching this to explore these subjects. We're not trying to promote a whole bunch of information here. We're just trying to start a discussion. So if you have answers that we don't know that are valid, and researched, please post them. If you phoned your life insurance company and they said, yes, you're covered, or no, you're not covered, please post that. Let's put this information together. You, myself, the people that are watching this, so that we can start informing people and taking this information to the next level on what we've learned.
Absolutely.
If somebody gets their hands on the ingredients, share it with us, please. If somebody gets their hands on one of the cards that come, or the pamphlets that come in the box with that product, please share it. Let's learn this stuff together, so that the information that we're putting out there is truthful and honest. I don't want to put any hearsay information out there. I don't want to put information that we think or feel. I want to put information out that we know to be fact.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We are team here.
Totally.
Sourced information from like-minded people. I love it. So
exactly.
And then the last bonus item that I threw in there is, where y'all at with your MTHR gene mutation? Because that has whole difference in the way your body processes things too. So if you want to do a bonus thing, look into that too. So
exactly.
So yeah, I love this. This is so needed right now. And start asking questions, guys. If you have a question that you think should be added to this list, put it in the comments, and let's keep asking questions. Let's keep having a discussion, and we'll keep seeing you.
Share us. Don't forget to subscribe below if you like what we're doing, so that we can keep staying in front of what we're doing. If you've got questions, or if you've got subjects that you want us to talk about or explore, please post them. We're here to do our best to bring the truth, to uncover the questions that people are asking, and just creating a case for health that we hope is beneficial for people. Thank you. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.